Hello, Kristen here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am going to walk you through the herringbone knit stitch. Now this is one of multiple methods to this stitch. This method is my favorite one and I feel like it's easy to remember. So hopefully it is as helpful to you as it has been for me. I use this stitch for the Amina ear warmer and I plan to make some other patterns with it. So this will serve as a companion video for those of you who are unfamiliar with this stitch. Now today I am using the Petite wool by We Are Knitters. This is classified as a bulky weight yarn, but I'm going to treat it more like an Aran weight yarn. For my needles, I have a 10mm US 15 needle for casting on and for working the body of our swatch. And then I'll be using a second set of needles for casting off. And that size is a US 10.5, 6.5mm needle. Now, a few details about this stitch. This is a 2-row repeat pattern, and the combination of those 2 rows creates this beautiful texture. It is definitely very snug and tight, creates a snug and tight fabric. So I highly suggest that you size up about 2 needle sizes from the suggested needles that are on your ball band. That will help you to work this stitch without too much effort when it comes to getting your needle in the stitches and forming them. You don't want your fabric to be too tight or too hard to work with because you will struggle if your needles aren't the right size. The reason why I suggest you have a smaller set of needles for casting off is that if you cast off with the same size needles, your cast off edge will look not as uniform as your cast on edge. It'll be very noticeable and just bigger, kind of stretched out. So when you're casting off, you do want to switch to those smaller needles and it'll create a nice uniform cast off edge. And I will demonstrate that at the end. So I've cast on 17 stitches here. The stitch count does not matter for this method. You can have an odd number or an even number of stitches. And so for the first row, what we're going to do is knit 2 stitches together through the back loop. So I've got my 2 stitches here and I'm knitting it through the back loop. And then I'm only going to drop off the first loop off of my left needle. And if you need to, you can use your fingers from your left hand to drop that stitch off. So once again, we're going to continue knitting 2 together through the back loop all the way down to the end until there's only 1 loop remaining on our left needle. So once again, knit the next 2 together through the back loop, and then only slip that first loop off your left needle. And you can already start to see our stitches leaning or slanting to the left, which is what we want. So I'm going to continue going down, knit 2 together through the back loop, and slip the first loop off the left needle. So we've done all except for the last stitch on our needle. And what we're going to do for this one is just slip this one. And then we're prepared to turn our work. And so now you'll see all of our stitches are leaning to the left, which is what we want. We have the same amount of stitches that we started with. That's really important. And now you're ready to work row 2. In row 2, we're going to work by purling 2 stitches together and then slipping only the first loop off of our needles. So purl them together and slip only the first stitch off of your needle, or your left needle, and then continue this down the row. Right, so we've made it to the end of row 2. We just have 1 stitch remaining on our left needle, and we will do the same as we did on row 1. We'll just slip that last stitch, and then we're done. We're finishing off again with the same amount of stitches that we started with, and now we are prepared to start row 1 all over again. And as you see, the stitches from the purl side are all leaning to the right, and we've created 1 set of our herringbone stitches here. So now what I'm going to do is show you how we cast off. Okay, so now we're going to cast off in pattern. So in my Amina earwarmer pattern, the instructions for casting off say cast off in pattern, and I've gotten a few questions about what this means. I've done a short little video about it on Instagram, but I thought it'd be great to just fully show the process here from the beginning to the end of the row. So what I'm going to do first is we're on the right side of our fabric. So on this side, this is the side where we knit 2 together through the back loop. So I'm first going to knit 2 together through the back loop 2 times. And for my right needle, I'm using my, see if I can get that to focus, my 10.5 or 6.5 millimeter needle. So I'm going to use that to cast off. So we're going to work 2 stitches first on this side as normal, so that we have 2 stitches on our right needle. Oops. Okay. So now I have 2 stitches on this needle, and then before I proceed to the next stitch, I'm going to take my left needle and take the first stitch or the farthest stitch from the tip of my right needle and just pass that over the stitch on the left and then let it slip off. So we've cast off 1 stitch. And so now I'm going to knit through 2 together through the back loop again. I have 2 stitches on my right needle again. So now I'll take my left needle, pass a stitch over the right stitch over the left stitch, and then let it slip off. And I've cast off 2 stitches. So I'm going to continue to do this all the way down to the end. So here's the final swatch. Here's our cast off edge, and here's the front, here's the back. Okay. Please let me know what you think about this method. Would you try it? Do you like it? And also let me know if you'd want to see the other method in a video. I hope this tutorial was helpful, and please don't forget to give me a thumbs up, share, leave a comment, subscribe. All of these things help to let YouTube know that you like my content and you want to see more of it, and they'll make sure that it stays on your feeds. So that concludes our tutorial, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.